training program. The last sessions I discussed strings, I discussed character arrays, and floating arrays I discussed, integer arrays I discussed. Now that today I want to discuss with one more new concept, C programming language, functions to be created. How to create the C programming language? Functions. What is meant by function? Function called as named block or a set of code executed with a single name is called as function. What is meant by function? Function called as named block or a set of code can be compiled with a single name, it's called as function. Function is also called as self-contained block. What is meant by self-contained block? With some name, set of code can be compiled at once, that is called as function. Now see, every C language program compulsory functions are required. Which function is compulsory to create every C language program? Main function. Main is one of the function. Every C program main function compulsory to write, because if I want to compile the program, every compilation beginning at a main. Main is a function. Under main only you can create our required code or our required functions or our required expressions. Finally, what is my conclusion? Every C programming compulsory to make a functions. Without function you can't create the programs. Now every C program, which function is compulsory or mandatory function? Main function. Main is a function like void main, no return main, or int main, or return type main, character main. Every C program main function started at a compilation point. Inside of main, set of expressions or a set of variables or a set of code can be compiled. Now see, functions are divided into two types. Functions are actually created two types. The first category of functions are derived functions or built-in functions. Second category of function, user defined functions. User defined functions are called as programmer created functions, it's called as user defined functions. What is the first category of functions? Built-in functions or derived functions. What is meant by derived functions? Which functions are already defined by C author with the help of header files. The C author created some functions with the help of header files. Like daily I am discussing with some predefined functions. Every C program, some predefined functions I discussed already. Scanf function, printf function, those functions available under stdio.h header file. C language author already created one header file stdio.h. Under that some set of functions available. Examples are scanf and printf. Now one more header file conio.h. Under conio.h, which are the functions already defined author? Clear screen, clr scr, get ch, gets, puts, those are under conio.h. Under string.h, some functions already defined, that is for string manipulation purpose. Which are the string manipulation functions? The last session already I discussed string length, string upper, string lower, string reverse, string copy, string concatenation, string comparison, string duplication. Like that many functions already defined with the help of header files. What is the problem of predefined functions? Those function code already written by author, those functions can be utilized, those function can be used, but those functions cannot modify. Those functions you can use in your program, but those function code cannot modify. Now what is meant by user defined functions? These functions are defined by user or programmer based on the requirement. User defined functions are created by user or programmer based on the requirement. User defined functions can define, can modify, can delete. What is the basic difference of predefined functions and user defined functions? Predefined function already defined, see other. Those function already defined, you cannot modify, you cannot delete. User defined function can create by user, you can modify, you can delete. Now for the predefined function working with the header files, user defined function can create without a header files. You can create your own function with help of header files or without header files. Now see what is the reason of functions. Already all programs I used predefined functions like scanf, printf, clear screen, getch. Till whatever C language programs I discussed, all C language programs I am not created any functions. Which function already built in, those functions only I used every C program. But what is the need of functions? You have to create user defined functions. What is the reason of user defined functions? First advantage, reusability. Why you have to create the functions? Reusability. What is meant by reusability? Same set of code, many areas you want to compile. Like one simple example, suppose I want to calculate the one student total marks. If I want to calculate the one student total mark, what is the formula can apply? Total equal to mark 1 plus mark 2 plus mark 3. The same formula I want to apply for 100 students. If I want to evaluate only one formula for one student, it's okay. But the same expression, same code I want to run with the multiple students. At that time, that expression should be defined under functions. What is the advantage of the function? Repetition of coding avoided. What is mean that wherever same code again and again you want to rewrite, instead of that better to use the functions. What is one more advantage of functions? Easier maintenance, debugging easier, compilation easier. With the help of user defined functions, you can compile the program easily and you can debug the program easily. One more advantage, functions can be portable. Functions can be portable. What is meant by portable? Easy to move one program function to another program. In one program you created one function, but same function I want to use for another programs, you can easily move with the help of functions. What is one more advantage of functions? Modularity. What is meant by modularity? Heavy lines of code should be divided into small piece of code. Suppose in my program 100 lines code is there. In my program I want to write 100 lines code. 100 lines code compilation very difficult. You can work that, you can execute it, you can get the answers. But the compilation execution is very difficult. At that time 100 lines code can be divided into functions. Functions are used for small modules. It is nothing but small programs. Entire main program divided into small piece of coding is called as functions. It's easy to module, easy to compile. That is the reason can be used for functions. What are the advantages of functions? The first one is repetition of code avoided. It's called as reusability. Second one is portability. What is meant by portability? One machine function code can be accessed to another machine, or one program function code easy to transfer to another program. You can transfer, you can move one machine to another machine or one program to another program. What is one more advantage? Modularity. What is meant by modularity? Heavy lines of code divided into small piece of coding is called as functions. One more is easier maintenance. Debugging is easier, compilation also easier. These are the major advantages of function creations. Now I want to discuss with the user defined functions. Now the discussion is going on user defined functions. How to create our own functions? How to create our own functions or derived functions? You see that now what are the steps will be involved for functions. You see that what is meant by function here? The function is a piece of code. The function called as piece of code or small coding. These functions are used to reduce repetition of coding. What is the advantage of user defined functions or any function? To reduce the repetition of coding. What are the function types? Classified two types: derived functions, user defined functions. What is meant by derived functions? Which functions are already provided by C writers, I mean C author. They can define with help of header files. Derived function provided by C language author, I mean Dennis Rich defined some function, they can be defined with the header files. To use these functions, the header file must be included at the top of program. What is the mean that every predefined function must and should what to be open? Header files. Every C program I created scanf and printf, that is the reason which header file is open? stdio.h. Similarly remaining also. What is the second category of functions you have? User defined functions. We can create our own functions. How to create user defined function? You have to write 3 steps. How to create a user defined function? 3 steps you have. What is the step number 1? Function declarations. Step number 2, function calling. Step number 3, function definition. Totally 3 steps are there: function declarations, function calling, function definition. But actually in that 3 steps, 2 steps only must and should to be used. Every program 2 steps are compulsory use. One is for function calling step compulsory, function definition step compulsory, declaration step is optional, may be declare, may not be declare. 2 steps are compulsory steps: function definition, function calling. What is meant by function declaration? The first step, when the function declared the name, declaring of the name, that will be followed by return type. What is meant by return type? Like integer, character. No return type means void, no return means void, and it should be followed by parentheses. What is the important point? Every function identified with which symbol? Parentheses. Wherever you can see this parentheses, it is a function. Wherever you can see the square brackets, arrays, wherever you can see this symbol parentheses, it is functions. In the parentheses, they can be pass arguments with their data types. Every function declaration time, you can take the return types or no return types and parenthesis symbol. In this parenthesis, to follow the arguments, I mean what you are passing the values, along with data types. If the function does not return any value, at that time which to be declared? Void should be declared. If the function does not return any answer, void keyword should be declared. Void means no return, no data type. which is the default return type of C functions? Integer. Default return type is integer, but I do not want to mention any returns. At that time what to be used? Void should be used. Now you see how to create the functions. See the syntax, function syntax. Actually function 3 steps are there, 2 steps are compulsory steps, 1 step is optional. You see the step number 1, function declaration. What is mean by function declaration? The function name, that is our name, and after the function name arguments type. I mean your function is which type of arguments, like integers, characters, floats, type of arguments, and before that function name data type. What is mean by data type here? Int, char, floats. If your function no returns, void should be used. Void indicates no data type. Now this step is called as function declaration step. Now this step where to be create before main function. What is the important point? Every C language program function declaration step should be before main to be declared. What is the step number 2? Function calling. How to call the function? Name of the function and passing the arguments like actual values, like integer, character, values to be passed. Function name, values to be passed. This step is called as function calling. Where to be call the function? Inside main call the function. After call the function, what is the third step of C language functions? Function definition or function body. Where to be write the function body? After the main function. How to explain the function definition? Data type, I mean void or no returns. Void means no returns, or return type int, char, like this. After that function name, arguments with data types, along with arguments and data types. Open the parenthesis, function body to be open, close the parenthesis, and you have to end of the body some set of statements. Open the flower, close the flower, in middle some set of statements. It is called as function body of the function. Finally, what are the steps involved here? Function declaration, declaring of function with your function name and argument type. Function calling, name of the function and pass the arguments. And the third step is function name, arguments with data type. Here you have to write the body, what actually function does. What actually function does consists on third step. Function declaration step where to be defined? Before main function. In your C program, main function compulsory, before main to be used. Inside of the main, function calling, inviting of the function. After the main, you have to explain the function definition or function body. Now you see that how to create functions, what are the steps involved. Functions are actually 3 steps I discussed. The step number 1, function declaration. What is meant by function declaration? Just announcement of the function. I mean which function you want to create, that should be announced with the help of function declaration. You see that how it is working of this here. Actually 3 steps to be involved, user defined functions. The step number 1, function declaration. What is meant by function declaration? Announcement of the function. Like which function you want to declare, the name, and the function is what type of arguments that should be declared. But that is optional. Optionally you can create. Sometimes the function may be declared, may not be declared. Before main to declare the function. What is the step number 2? Function calling. What is meant by function calling? Which function already announced or declared, that function to be inviting with the help of function calling. Which function already declared that to be invite into function calling. Where to be call the function? Inside main. User defined functions are calling through the main. Is it function can call only one time or many times? Many times. Because of reusability. Reusability means many times you can repeat the function, same function. What is the third step of the function creation? Function definition. I mean actual body of the function. Which function already you are created? The function body. What actually does that function? Which is calculated that function? That should be explained in the third step. Now the function definition where to be defined? After the main. After the main should be defined. And one more important point, every user defined function definition should be only once. Whatever function already you declared, that function how many times to be defined? Only one time. And how many times you can call? Many times, more than once, repeatedly you can call. Now these are the steps involved for making of functions. And under user defined functions only, what are the categories of functions? Actually functions are classified two types, built-in functions, user defined functions. But under user defined functions only, three models of functions. User can develop three models of functions. What are the three models of functions you have? No return, no arguments. The first category, no return, no arguments. What is meant by no return? Void functions. What is meant by no arguments? You are not passing any values. What is the second model? No return with arguments. What is meant by no return? Void. What is meant by with arguments? You are passing some values, some inputs to be passed. Through the function you are passed the values. What is the third model you have? With return with arguments. With return with arguments. What is meant by with return? Suppose I am calculating one function, that function answer expected into one variable. Suppose I am calculating addition of two numbers, that is my function addition of two numbers. Addition of two number, inputs are integer. If I add the two integers, your answer is which data type? Integer data type. That means what? Integer addition return. Which data type? Integer type. Whenever you are adding the two integers, your answer return integer type. It is called as return type. Now these are the three models of functions can be created under user defined functions. You see that what are the syntaxes for these user defined functions? Under user defined functions only you have some syntaxes. You see that the what are the functions or types are there? No arguments with no return functions. No arguments with no return value functions. No arguments means through the function you are not calling any values. Through the function you are not pass any values. No return means void, no data type. Second model, arguments with no return. Arguments means you pass the value. No return called as void functions, and you can pass some inputs. Third model called as arguments with return value functions. Arguments with return value. What is meant by arguments? You pass some values through function. What is meant by return value? Once I pass the inputs of function, after processing, which is my return back answer. Suppose if I add the two integers are inputs arguments, but my answer is also integer. The return value should be integer. These are the models of the function you have to create. No arguments, no return. arguments with no return, arguments with return. You see that actually what will be defined here. One model I discussed, example model, check it. Void. Void means no return. I am using with the add function. Now this function I am not passing any arguments. What is the model of this function? This is which type of function? Void means no return. Void means no return. Add is nothing but function name, and you are not passing any values. In this parenthesis you are not passing any values. This type of model called as which model? No return. This model called as no return, no arguments. This model called as no return, no arguments. One more is void add function I have. If I pass 10 comma 20. Now this is which type of model? No return, because of void no return, and this is which type of function? With arguments. 2 arguments I passed. That means what? Void means no return, add is a function with arguments, 2 inputs I passing. But these are which type of arguments? Integer arguments. What is one more type of function you have? Third model you have. Suppose I define add 10 comma 20. Now this function passing with arguments integers, but when I add these 2 integers, my answer return which data type? Integer type. That means you are passing inputs are 10 20. If I add the 10 20, the answer will be return 30. Now the 30 which data type? Integer type. Now this is called as which type of function can be used? With return with arguments. This is called as with return with arguments. But every return type function, number of inputs can be passed, but answer should be single. Every return type function, number of inputs can be passed, but answer should be single, single type only to be returned. These are the models to be create the functions. Now I want to discuss with one simple example program using functions. You see the program. What is my program I want to discuss? Write a program to demonstrate first model of function. What is the first model of function? No return, no arguments. The first model of function no return, no arguments. You see that no return, no arguments function. First header file hash include stdio.h. After that hash include conio.h. These are header file because of predefined function I am using. In my program scanf and printf I am using, that is the reason stdio.h and conio.h. Now I want to call the user defined functions. Every user defined function three steps involved. Step number 1, function declaration. Void. What is my function name? Show. My function name is show, no arguments. My function name is show, no arguments. Void means no return. Show is a function our defined without arguments. Now this step is called as which step? You can say declaration, function declaration. Just I am announcing the function. But at this moment I am not explain this function what is a formula will be run. Now this function what is a body to be processed. Still I am not explained any body, just a declaration, announcement. After that void main. Every program main function compulsory, void main. CLR SCR, clear screen, it is a predefined function. Inside that printf, what is my message I created here? Welcome to C language functions, just any message. This is my message under main. Welcome to C language function, this is under main. Now I want to call the function. How to call the function now? Show. Just call the name show. After call the function now printf, what is my message? Again you are in main. again you are in main, just I want to make some message, again you are in main. After that get ch to end the main function. Now you see that in this program, when I explain this program, check it. Generally every C program, wherever compilation starts, void main, compilation actually starts at void main, but in this program first it is coming to the void main, after that CLR SCR. CLR SCR is a predefined function available on conio.h, clear screen. What is my next function? Printf. Printf function available on stdio.h. Printf function can be explained on stdio.h. After that show function will be calling. Now you see here, show function is not a predefined, our defined. Show function is our defined function. Now this function will be jumping to that calling area. Here I am not explain the show body, that I want to explain. How to explain that void show? The body should explain. This is our function body, void show body, printf. What is my message I used here? This is user defined function. This is user defined function. Just one message I giving, user defined function. This is user defined function. Now you see that how it is executed. First main, inside of main clear screen. After that this message will be prints, welcome to C language functions. After printing of this message, cursor will be called to the show. Now the show is our defined function, directly jumping to that area, caller area, directly show function jumping to that area, void show, caller area. In that area which message prints, this is user defined function, this body will be prints. After printing of this body, return back to main. After printing of this execution body, return back to main. What is the message? Again you are in the main. Finally get ch to end of the main function. Now this is the way of compilation your C language functions. That means first clear screen, after that message will be prints, after that show, directly jumping to that area. Show is our defined function. What actually does the show? This is user defined function body. Any statements, number of statements can be run. After execution of this, again return back to main. Under main which will be called? Again you are in the main. Finally to get the answer. This is the process to be. Now I want to save the program, save. Where I want to save? Turbo C++ disk folder, turbo C3 bin, function1.c. Program name is function1.c. Now I want to compile this program, function1.c. See that now I want to compile this program now. Step by step I want to compile. Step into mode. How to compile step into mode? F7 button. F7 called as how it is compile your program step by step to be verified, step by step. If I press F7 button, what is my compiler highlighted area? Main function. Now at this moment compiler highlighted area, main function. Again F7, which will be compiling now? Clear screen will be compiling now. After that welcome to C language functions compiling now. After that show function will be compiling. Now the show function is our defined function. At that time directly jumping to function body definition, there it will be calling. Inside of show which body will be there? This is user defined function. After execution of this, return back to main, return back to home, return back to main. Again you are in main. After that get ch. This is your answer of program. You see that how it is compiling. First welcome to C language function, this message through the main. This is user defined function, this message through the show function. Again which message? Again you are in main. This is the way of compilation. Suppose in the same program I want to compile show function 2 times. Can I call the show function 2 times? Yes. Why? Because the calling function n number of times can be called. One function not only one time to be called, many times can be called, but definition only once, many times can be called. You see that how to compile step into mode, F7 button, main will be compiled, clear screen will be compiled, welcome to C language function, show will be calling, directly jumping to that show. This is user defined function, return back to main, again show calling second time, go to the show again, same message, again call to back, again you are in the main. Now in this example, how many times user defined function calling? 2 times. Now this is the reusability purpose, you can use the functions. Now I want to discuss with the second model of the function. What is the second model of the function you have? Second model, no return with arguments. Write a program to demonstrate no return with argument function. Now I want to explain with second model, no return with arguments. How to create that? Hash include stdio.h. After that hash include conio.h. Now I want to create our own function void. What is my function name? Add2. Function name is add2. Now this function with arguments I want to call, with arguments. My request is integer arguments, that arguments are integer type, int comma int. What is the meaning of this discussion? Add2 function, I want to pass the 2 arguments, both should be integers. Now this step is called as function declaration, just declaring, there is no values. Declaring means announcement of function. Void main, inside main. Now I want to call the variables, int x comma y, 2 variables, int x comma y, 2 variables I created here. Now I want to execute with the clear screen. Now I want to read the x and y values, enter x comma y values. How to read that? Scanf, %d, ampersand x, ampersand y. Now I want to call which function? Add2 x comma y. I want to call the add2 function x comma y. This is function calling. Once I call the function, then I want to close, get ch. Now I want to explain the body, void add2. Now see, when I declaring of add2 function, what type of arguments? Integer types, integer arguments. But when I call the function, what are the variables? X and y. Now these are called as actual arguments. These are actual arguments. Now I want to define data type plus arguments. Actual arguments are x and y, but instead of that, nicknames, formal arguments can be used. Formal names, int a, int b. Data type should be match. Actuals are x, y, but I want to define a, b formals, formal arguments. Int c, one third variable under add2 third variable, c equal to a plus b, addition of a plus b, printf. I want to add the value here, addition is %d, which I want to print c value to be print. I want to print the c, there I want to print c. Now listen, how it is compiling of this program. First compilation started at main. Inside of main, I want to read for x and y values. Inside of read, I want to read the x and y. How to call the function? Add2 x and y. Suppose my x value 10 I inputted, suppose my y value 20 I inputted, suppose my x value 10 and 20 inputted. Now this 10 value send it to a, this is formal, 10 value send it to a. Now the 20 is actual, send it to B. At the time A calling from 10, B value calling from the main 20. What is the C value? A plus B, 10 plus 20, 30. Now I want to print the addition value 30. I want to print the addition C value 30. But what to be remember, this answer where it will be prints? Inside function only prints. But this answer cannot return back to the main. I mean this C answer cannot print on the main. C value cannot print on the main. Now if you see, suppose if I used addition, if I used addition is percentage DC, it is not acceptable because C will be declared actually inside of function, inside only print. It is a formal argument, but this C value cannot return to the main, under main cannot return the value because it is a no return. Now you see that if I compile this program now, save, under turbo C++ disk folder turbo C3 bin, what is my program name? Function2.c, function2.c. Now I want to compile that. Now I want to use open function2.c, function2.c. Now I want to compile this program, step into mode, F7 button, step into mode, main, first calling main, clear screen, read the x and y values. I am entering with 10, 20. Now 10 and 20 I entered here. Just you observe here, this is not 10 and 20, actually x and y, x, y. Now this is x and y. You see that F7, read the x and y values 10 and 20. Now that value jumping to the function body, and A 10, B 20, C equal to 10 plus 20, 30, answer will be C, print there only, not return to main. Like that I want to call this function. Now this is called as no return with argument function. What is one more model of function you have? One more model of function is there, the third model of the function. You see that what is the third model of the function to explain? Write a program to demonstrate with return with arguments. With return with arguments. How to create a with return with argument function? Listen, hash include stdio.h, hash include conio.h. Now what is my function I want to create? Sub is function, subtraction. Now for the sub function subtraction of two integers, I want to calculate subtraction of two integers. If I subtract the two integers, my answer should be return which variable? Integer. Here there is no void, integer. My inputs are two integers, subtraction value return to integer. Now I want to make with the int main, not void main, because it is a return type main. Suppose I used x equal to 10 directly giving y equal to 5, x is 10, y is 5. Now here I created one more extra variable, z variable also I created, return purpose. Now I want to call z equal to sub function x comma y. What is the meaning of this statement? When I call the sub function x value sending and y value sending, I mean 10 sending, 5 sending, 10 minus 5 calculated, the answer will be written back to which variable? Z variable, return variable. Finally, this Z answer will be prints inside main only prints, because it is a return type, inside main only to print the answer. After that, get ch to get that. Every return type main function ends with a return 0 statement. After get ch, every return type main function return keyword, return 0, successfully return. Here 0 indicates successfully. Int subtraction, int a, int b, formal arguments. and every return type functions return keyword should be there. In your function body return keyword, there is no printf, return a minus b, return a minus b. What is the meaning of that? Now the x is sent to a, y is sent to b, return 10 minus 5, a minus b, return 10 minus 5. That answer not print at a function body. That answer will be print at which location? Main. Inside main, this return value send back to z. Z will be take the value from the return value. I mean z answer will be 5. Under main it will be prints. This is called as return type function you have. Now I want to save this function 3.c. Now I want to compile this program now, function 3.c. Function 3.c, function 3.c to be compiled. If I run this program, check it, what is the answer? Subtraction is 5. But what to be remember, clearly observe here, if I start this first main, after that under main reading of x is 10, y is 5, clear screen, sub x y, it is calling to definition, it is jumping to definition, x value send to a, y value send to b, return a minus b, I mean 10 minus 5, again that will be send back to the z. Now it will be z print at main, after that get ch, finally to print the answer, return type. Now you see what are the function types I discussed. Now what are the types of user defined functions I discussed. No return, no arguments. What is one more function? No return with arguments. Third type of function is no return, with return with arguments. Which are the models of functions user defined? No return, no arguments. No return means void. No arguments means you are not sending any values. Second model is no return with arguments. No return means void. With argument means you are passing some values. Into the function you are passing some values. What is the third model of the function? With return with arguments. What is meant by with return with arguments? You are passing the arguments, after processing you are send back the answer, send back to the main. No return functions are printing on the function body, with return functions are printing on the main function. But what is one more important point? Every return type function body should exist with which keyword? Return keyword. Every return type function body return keyword should be exist, only once only to use return keyword. And every return type main function after get ch, which is the statement to be applied? Return 0. What is meant by return 0? Successfully return the values, successfully return. Now these are the function types I have. Now the today session I discussed, these are the user defined functions I discussed. What is the main advantages of the functions? Why you have to create function? Reusability and easier maintenance, and one more is portability, modularity. These are the advantages of user defined functions. Now some more function types in the next session I will continue. Some more function types, user defined functions only, some more types in the next session I can continue. Thank you for this video.